Ciao friends, and welcome to a new video from SQL BI. In this video, I want to briefly talk about an error that you might find when you have a semantic model that includes both active and inactive relationships. You create measures that activate the relationships on demand, and then at some point you add security. Now, if it happens that the security filters need to traverse one of the relationships that you activate and deactivate on demand, you might find this error that says that use relationships cannot be used in this context because you're using row-level security. We are going to see the error, we are going to understand why the error happens and why it is important that the error happens. And finally, of course, we will fix the problem by changing the DAX code. In the process of changing the DAX code, we will also see that doing that in a simple way without thinking carefully about what we are actually computing might lead to unexpected results. As it is always the case with security, we need to pay extra attention to place the filter the right way. So finding an easy fix might not be the best option, but we will discuss all this with the demo. So let's get started. Let's start by taking a look at the model. This is our regular contours model, but I'm going to focus on a couple of tables, which are sales and data. Sales and data are linked through two relationships. One is based on the order date, the other one is based on the delivery date. And of course, when I have two relationships linking two tables, one of them needs to be kept inactive. Indeed, you see that this relationship, the one with delivery date, needs to be kept inactive in order for the model not to be ambiguous. However, I can enable the relationship on demand by using useRelationship. And that's exactly what I did in this report. I'm showing the year, the sales amount, and the delivered amount. Delivered amount just uses calculate and use relationship to activate the relationship between the delivery date and the date data. So the filter moves from the date table to the sales table through the delivery date. Everything is working fine and there is nothing strange in this model. However, at some point I want to add security. And in order for this demonstration to work, we are going to use a fancy kind of security. We are going to secure the year, so the date table. I have some users can see some years, some other users can see a different number of years. And in order to build this model, what I created are two more tables. One table contains the users and the other table contains the years that the user is allowed to see. Let's take a quick look at the content. The users table only contains two users. Here they are. We have Alberto and Marco with their user ID. And then we have the user years that associates users with the years that they're allowed to see. So you see that Alberto can see 2017 and 2018. Marco can see 2018 and 2019. What happens if I create a security role that applies security? Well, I have already done that, so let me go to modeling and let's take a look at the roles. I have created an RLS role that places a filter over the user table that filters the username. So I will access with a specific username and the users table will have a filter that filters only that specific user. Then relationship will do all the remaining part of the work. Let me describe briefly how the filter is going to move through the relationships. The filter starts from the users table. So I need my pen. The filter starts from here, then it goes to the users years table, then from users years through this many to many relationship, the filter reaches date. So date is filter. And finally, the filter is moved between date and sales. But the thing is, the filter needs to traverse one relationship, and the relationship it is going to use is the active relationship. The relationship that by default is active in the model. Remember that security is applied outside of any measure. It works for every measure. Therefore, it uses the active relationship. So what happens if your measure disables this relationship and enables the other one? If that happens, you will get an error. And the error says, I'm sorry, you cannot enable a relationship because that would disable a relationship that is used to transfer the filter, and that is a security filter. Security filters cannot be stopped. Indeed, if I just create everything and then I test my security role, let's say that I look at row level security and I browse it as Alberto at SQLBI.com. I just click on OK and I get an error. If I look at the details of the error, it says I cannot load the data for this visual because the use relationship and cross-filter function may not be used when querying sales because of row level security. As it always happens with security issues, you cannot overcome this. Security rules need to be very clear and very strict. You cannot just change them in a simple way, because otherwise that might create loopholes in your data model, and that's not something that we want. However, we can easily fix the problem. And in order to fix the problem, we need to find a way to move a filter between data and sales without changing the structure of the relationship. And we do have a function that does it, which is TREATAS. So by rewriting the code using TREATAS, we will be able to overcome the problem. However, pay attention to the fact that if we do not pay attention to a lot of small details, we obtain wrong results, and that is not what we want to achieve. So we are going to see how to move the filter using TREATAS. Then we discuss that in this specific case, we're actually not placing the filter correctly. And finally, we will solve the problem. But be mindful that TREATAS is the way to go from a technical standpoint to solve the problem of the error of row-level security, whereas how to solve your specific issue, that depends on your security requirements. We are going to see a solution which is just quick, dirty, and slow. If you need to implement this in your specific model, you will need to work a bit more in order to find the correct way to reauthor your security constraint. But with no further ado, let's play with the code and let's solve the problem. As it is now, delivered amount does not work. So we need to get rid of it and rewrite it in a way that actually works. And we cannot use relationship, but we are going to use TREATAS. So let me author a new measure, delivered amount to. We use calculate again because we want to move a filter. We compute the sales amount, and we cannot use relationship, therefore we are going to use TREATAS. We take the values of date, and we use it as a filter over sales delivery date. So TREATAS will read the content of the date table, the filter that is coming from the visual, and move it as a filter over delivery date. I just need to format it as a decimal number and then place it in the report. Now you see that before I had an error, now it computes a number, and the number looks correct at first sight. But before going in production, of course, we need to make sure that the number is actually correct. And it turns out that this version of the code still has an error because the filter is not being moved the right way. To see that better, let me stop viewing it as a specific user, so that I can place delivered amount to and delivered amount together on the same report. And you see that the numbers are not the same. For the first year, the numbers are the same, but for the next years, the numbers are different. What is happening here? Well, in my code, I'm using TREATAS to apply a further filter to the sales table, but I am not stopping the default filter to move. So what is actually happening in the model is that I have a filter over the date table that is coming from the matrix that says order date equal to, no, not actually order date, that says data in 2017, for example. This filter is going to move from data, follow the active relationship, and filters sales, and it actually filters the order date table. Then I have calculate with TREATAS. Calculate will take 2017, so we'll take 2017 from the data and use it as a filter to filter the delivery date column. So I'm actually having two different filters on the same table. Sales is filling one filter because of the relationship and another filter because of TREATAS. What I want to do is get rid of the filter coming from the relationship. And in order to do that, I just kill any filter from the date table. So we just go here and say, that is fine, but I want to do all on the date. This all date removes any filter from the date table, so that the filter of order date will be removed, and the only filter remaining is the one that I activate through TREATAS. Just hit enter, and now you see that the numbers of delivered amount to and delivered amount are correct. This means that with no security being applied, the version with TREATAS computes the same number as the version that uses use relationship. However, it is still not correct. And in order to see that, we need to dive a bit better. So far everything is good. Now let's start again by looking at the model as a user. So I need to go here, view it as through level security. Let's say that I look it with Alberto at SQLBI.com. Alberto can see 2017 and 2018. I click on OK. I get the error because I'm still using delivered amount. So I get rid of delivered amount, and I have sales amount and delivered amount too. The question is this number correct? In order to check it, I need to look at the value of delivered amount to without security. I have already placed the numbers on the whiteboard, so we can take a look at them. This is the version with no security. And this is the version with security. Now, if we look at 2017 and 2018, which are the years that Alberto is allowed to see, you see that the numbers are identical to the values that are shown through security. So it looks like it's working. However, whenever we check those values, we need to make sure that they work in all the scenarios. And it turns out that this code works for Alberto, but it doesn't work for Marco. Let me show you this. If we stop viewing it and we change the active user, saying we want to use role level security as Marco at SQLBI.com, remember that Marco can see 2018 and 2019, we obtain a different report. Let's take a look at the numbers with the whiteboard, because again, I already placed the values there. If we focus on 2018 and 2019, you see that I have values here, and the values are not the same for my measures. 2018 has a different value. 2019 has the same value. However, what is more relevant is that I have the row 2020 that does not appear anywhere here. Why do I have 2020 here? Well, there are orders placed in 2019 but delivered in 2020. And the question is, what do I want to do with those orders? The order has been placed in 2019, one of the years that Marco is allowed to see. It has been delivered in 2020. Should I show the value of the order or not? Well, I would say that the answer is yes. But if that is the case, we place security the wrong way. Let me explain you this a bit better. When I wanted to place the security, what I wanted to do, or at least what was in my mind, is that I wanted to secure the order data. So I want to show only the orders placed in a specific year. However, I place the security filter on the date table. So the filter starts from users, then it reaches users years, but then it reaches date, and from date it goes to sales. If I filter date, I'm filtering a year, 2018, 2019, and then if I use a current filter on the date and move it to sales using not the inactive relationship but using TREATAS, then what I'm filtering is the orders delivered in 2018 and 2019, and I'm hiding the values of the orders placed in 2018 and placed in 2019 but delivered in 2020. So what turns out is that by using TREATAS, I'm moving the filter in a different way, and I basically wrote the filter condition the wrong way. This happens quite frequently. Whenever it comes to security, you need to pay extra attention to exactly what you are securing. Now, this video is not about creating the right type of security. My focus was only to show you that if you have a problem with user relationship, you can overcome the problem by using TREATAS. But then this extra part is just to show you that yes, you can, but you need to pay attention. Using TREATAS is kind of dangerous. You need to make sure that the filter is moved the right way. In this specific case, you can overcome the problem by changing the way the filter has been placed. The solution I'm going to show you is definitely not optimal, but it's just a quick fix for the problem. If we want to make sure that the filter is placed on the order date in the sales table, we just cannot filter sales. Sorry, we cannot filter date. We just need to go to move the filter directly down to the sales table. In a real environment, you would probably create another table specifically for security, but here I just want to show you a quick fix. In order to make this model work, what you need to do is place the filter on the sales, filtering only the order date. And I have already done it, so let me go directly on the role. I have role level security on sales. And you see that now the filter is on sales. We still have the filter on users, but we are going to disable it by killing one relationship because I'm interested only in this filter. The filter is directly on the sales table, and it checks that the years of the order date column is actually in the years that are visible for the specific user that we are looking at. So we are not using relationship, we are just using code that again is suboptimal, but it's just to show you that you can fix the problem, but you need to write your own version of the code. We need to disable this relationship because I no longer want the filter to flow from user years to data. And then we can view this time as another user, let's say Marco at SQLBI.com, the user that creates us issues, and this time we use row level on sales rather than row level security. And clicking on OK, you see that now the value for delivered amount shows 2018, 2019, and it also shows 2020, because now security is happening on the order date column. So let's wrap everything. What we have seen is that if you have inactive relationships in your model, you can activate them using user relationship. You need to pay attention because if you are using row level security, then it happens that the filter, the security filter, flows through a relationship that gets inactivated by your user relationship, then you have the error. Fixing the error is very simple. Just use TREATAS to move the filter rather than use user relationship. However, as soon as you are moving the filter by yourself, you need to pay extra attention to the fact that you are still filtering everything correctly. In this specific case, using TREATAS worked, but we needed to change the security context so that the filter moves the right way. In your specific case, you might have a completely different scenario. So you can use TREATAS safely, but you need to pay attention and focus on the security architecture to make sure that you are actually showing the correct values. You will not be showing values that should not be shown because security is active, but you might be missing values because you are securing the wrong table. Enjoy that!